Judge Elizabeth Chen was sitting behind the bench in Family Courtroom 3B of the Virginia Beach Family Court at 10:47 in the morning on a Wednesday in March, when she opened the manila folder my Navy attorney had submitted into evidence approximately 11 minutes earlier. She read the first document silently for approximately 14 seconds. Then she looked up. She looked at my husband Kevin, sitting at the plaintiff's table with his attorney Douglas Wickham. She looked at my 4-year-old twin daughters Emma and Sophia, sitting in the small children's waiting area behind the plaintiff's bench, both in matching navy blue dresses my mother had bought them for the hearing. She looked at me, Lieutenant Commander Rachel Bennett, United States Navy, sitting at the defendant's table in Navy service dress uniform. She said, in the specific level voice that family court judges use when they are about to end a case, "Mr. Bennett, I want to make sure I understand your petition correctly. You have filed for sole legal and physical custody of your twin daughters, Emma and Sophia, on the grounds of, quote, maternal abandonment for military service. Is that correct?" Kevin said, "Yes, Your Honor." Judge Chen picked up the top document from the manila folder. She said, "Mr. Bennett, I am now going to read your wife's deployment orders into the court record, and then I am going to read the family care plan you signed on May 3rd of last year. Do you know what a family care plan is, Mr. Bennett?" Kevin's attorney went pale. Kevin did not. He would, per the specific court transcript that was filed the following day, understand what a family care plan was in approximately 90 seconds. The deployment and the twins. My name is Rachel Bennett. I am 36 years old. I am a lieutenant commander in the United States Navy, currently assigned to the surface warfare community. My most recent operational assignment was as a department head aboard the USS George H.W. Bush, an aircraft carrier of the Nimitz class, operating in the 6th Fleet area of responsibility from June of last year through March of this year, a total of 9 months at sea. I have twin daughters. Their names are Emma Rose Bennett and Sophia Grace Bennett. They are 4 years old. They were born on August 17th, 4 years ago, at Naval Medical Center Portsmouth in Portsmouth, Virginia. Sophia was born 11 minutes before Emma. I want to tell you about my husband Kevin before I tell you what happened in Family Courtroom 3B at 10:47 a.m. on Wednesday, March 12th. Kevin Bennett is 38 years old. He is a civilian. He is a middle school social studies teacher at a public school in Virginia Beach. He has been a teacher for 14 years. When I met him in 2015, at a mutual friend's wedding in Norfolk, he was 30, unmarried, driving a 5-year-old Toyota Camry, and coaching his middle school's varsity soccer team. He was, per my own honest assessment at the time, the specific kind of steady, unshowy man I had spent my 20s hoping to meet. We married in 2017 at a small ceremony at the chapel at Naval Station Norfolk. We had Emma and Sophia in 2021. I want to describe our marriage before Kevin filed for custody, because it will matter for what the court found. For the first 4 years of our marriage, from 2017 to 2021, Kevin and I had, per any assessment I could offer, a genuinely good marriage. I was assigned to shore duty at Norfolk. I was working on my master's degree in operations research at the Naval Postgraduate School through their distance learning program. Kevin was teaching. We had bought a small 3-bedroom house in Virginia Beach in 2018. We had, on Sunday mornings, the specific ritual of going to the small diner on Pacific Avenue, where Kevin ordered blueberry pancakes and I ordered eggs Benedict. The problems began in 2022, approximately 1 year after the twins were born. I want to be honest about what changed. In August of 2022, when Emma and Sophia were 1 year old, I received a set of orders assigning me to the USS George H.W. Bush as an operations officer. The orders were a career-defining assignment. Department head at sea on a Nimitz-class carrier is, per the specific Navy officer career pipeline, the assignment that determines whether a lieutenant commander is promoted to commander. Without that assignment, my career would have ended at my current rank. I brought the orders home. I showed them to Kevin. Kevin said, in a voice that surprised me, "Rachel, so you're going to leave us?" I said, "Kevin, it's an operational tour. It's 9 months. It's what Navy officers at my rank do." Kevin said, "Rachel, Emma and Sophia are 1. When you get back, they're going to be almost 2. You're going to miss 9 months of their lives." I said, "Kevin, yes, I am. And you are going to be there for those 9 months." That is the specific arrangement we agreed to when we married, Kevin said, in the specific voice that told me a conversation was going to become a problem. Rachel, I need to think about this. He thought about it for approximately 3 weeks. During those 3 weeks, per what I would later learn from his own text messages that his attorney would produce in the custody discovery, Kevin consulted with his mother Diane about whether he should, per his exact typed phrase, tell her she has to choose between the Navy and the girls. His mother Diane, per her own text response, replied, "Kevin, don't do it that way. Let her go. When she comes back, she'll have been gone. That will be your case." Kevin did not at the time show me those text messages. Kevin came to me in September of 2022 and said, "Rachel, I've decided. I'll be here. You do what you need to do. We'll figure out the rest when you come home." I believed him. I want to explain what deploying with young children means, because you cannot understand this story without it. When a Navy officer with dependent children deploys, per specific federal regulation and Navy instruction, that officer is required to submit a family care plan. The family care plan is a formal legal document, signed by both the service member and the caregiver, that specifies who will care for the dependent children during the service member's deployment. It must be signed by both parties in front of a Navy legal officer. It must be notarized. It must be filed with the service member's command. It is, per federal law, a binding legal agreement. I completed my family care plan on May 3rd of last year, approximately 1 month before I deployed. The family care plan named Kevin Bennett as the primary caregiver of our twin daughters for the duration of my deployment. It specified that Kevin would maintain the marital home in Virginia Beach, provide primary care for Emma and Sophia, coordinate childcare during his working hours through the specific daycare arrangement we had used since the twins were 6 months old, and manage all household expenses through our joint checking account, into which my Navy pay, including my sea pay, my hazardous duty pay, and my family separation allowance, would be direct deposited monthly. Kevin signed the family care plan in front of Lieutenant Susan Marsh, Navy JAG, at the legal office at Naval Station Norfolk. He signed on the specific signature line labeled, "I, Kevin Michael Bennett, acknowledge my role as the primary caregiver of the dependent minor children Emma Rose Bennett and Sophia Grace Bennett during the deployment of Lieutenant Commander Rachel Ann Bennett, and I accept full responsibility for their daily care, welfare, and protection for the duration of the specified operational period." Kevin's signature is on the document. His initials are on every page. The document is notarized. The document is filed with my command. The document is, per federal law, a binding legal agreement. The document was submitted, on the morning of March 12th of this year, by my Navy attorney into the custody case Kevin had filed against me. Kevin's attorney had not, per what I would later learn, expected the document to be submitted. Kevin had not, per what I would later learn, told his attorney the family care plan existed. The homecoming and the petition. I want to walk you through the 2 weeks between my return from deployment and the custody hearing on March 12th, because they will explain what Judge Elizabeth Chen was looking at when she opened the manila folder. The USS George H.W. Bush returned to Naval Station Norfolk on the morning of Sunday, February 23rd. The homecoming ceremony was held at the pier at 10 a.m. Approximately 4,000 family members and Navy personnel were present. I stood on the flight deck as the ship came into port. I looked out at the crowd on the pier. I did not see Kevin. I did not see Emma or Sophia. I did not see my mother, who had flown in from her home in Kansas City the previous evening. I saw, in the specific area of the pier where a specific person had told me they would be, my mother alone, holding a small handmade sign that said, "Welcome home, Mom," in blue crayon. There were no children with her. I did not, at that moment, know why. I disembarked at 11:47 a.m. I made my way through the receiving line. I hugged my mother. She was, per her own composure, holding herself together. She said, "Rachel, Kevin called me at 6:30 this morning. He said the twins have colds and can't come to the homecoming. He said he'd bring them by the house tonight." I said, "Mama, what kind of colds?" My mother said, "Rachel, I don't know. He wouldn't tell me. I called him twice this morning. He didn't answer the second call." I drove home in my mother's rental car. I want to describe what I found when I opened the front door of my house at 4247 Windward Court, in Virginia Beach at 1:14 p.m. on Sunday, February 23rd. The house was empty. Not empty of furniture, empty of my daughter's things. Emma's small stuffed rabbit, the one she had slept with every night for 2 years, was not on the small chair in the living room where she always left it. Sophia's specific pink sneakers, the ones she wore every single day, were not by the front door. The twins' bedroom was, when I opened the door, empty of children's clothing. The dresser drawers were partially open. The closet was empty of the small dresses my mother had shipped from Kansas City for the twins' birthdays. The specific fluffy pink bathrobe I had bought Sophia for Christmas, which I had, per Kevin's own text message updates during my deployment, seen her wearing in a video on December 27th, was not hanging on the hook behind the door. I called Kevin. He did not answer. I called Kevin's mother, Diane. She did not answer. I called Kevin's brother, Andrew. Andrew, a decent man who had been, per every family gathering, the specific in-law who I had always liked, answered on the third ring. He said, "Rachel, welcome home." I said, "Andrew, where are Emma and Sophia?" Andrew was silent for approximately 6 seconds. He said, "Rachel, Kevin took them to Mom's house last week. He said you were going to be angry when you got home, and he didn't want the girls to see it. I'm sorry, Rachel. I told him this was a mistake. He wouldn't listen." I said, "Andrew, where is Kevin now?" Andrew said, "Rachel, Kevin is at his attorney's office. He filed for custody 3 days ago. His attorney served the papers here at Mom's house on Friday. Kevin was planning to give them to you tonight." I said, "Andrew, what custody?" Andrew said, "Rachel, sole custody. He's asking for sole custody of Emma and Sophia. He says you abandoned them for the Navy." I did not in that moment speak. I set down the phone. I sat down on the small chair in the living room where Emma always left her stuffed rabbit. I did not, at that moment, cry. I want to be honest about why. I did not cry because I was, at that moment, calculating. I was calculating the specific legal record that Kevin had, apparently, forgotten existed. I was calculating the family care plan he had signed in May. I was calculating the specific financial records of the joint checking account he had accessed for 9 months. I was calculating the specific text messages, video calls, and photographs he had sent me from that same house across 9 months, every one of which showed Emma and Sophia inside that house, being cared for by him, per the specific plan he had signed. I was calculating that Kevin Bennett had committed a specific kind of legal mistake that lawyers do not, when it happens, correct. Kevin had not consulted a family law attorney familiar with the Uniformed Services Former Spouses Protection Act. Kevin had not consulted a family law attorney familiar with military family care plans. Kevin had, per what Andrew would later confirm to me over coffee, hired an attorney named Douglas Wickham, a solo practitioner in Virginia Beach who advertised on daytime television, because Douglas Wickham had a specific reputation for aggressive father's rights custody cases. Douglas Wickham had not, per what I would later learn from his own bar records, ever handled a case involving a deployed service member. I called my mother back. I said, "Mama, can you stay for 2 weeks?" My mother said, "Rachel." "Of course." I said, "Mama, I need to make 3 phone calls, and then we need to go get my daughters." I made 3 phone calls that afternoon. The first was to the Navy JAG Legal Assistance Office at Naval Station Norfolk. I explained the situation. I requested emergency legal assistance. I was, per the specific protocols for deployed service members who return home to contested custody cases, transferred to Commander Elizabeth Reyes, a JAG attorney with 16 years of Navy family law experience. The second was to a civilian family law attorney named Margaret Wu, based in Virginia Beach, whose name Commander Reyes provided within 3 minutes. Margaret Wu was, per Commander Reyes's assessment, the specific attorney you want handling this case. She has handled 47 military custody cases in the last 12 years. She has never lost one. The third phone call was to my mother-in-law, Diane Bennett. She answered on the 4th ring. I said, "Diane, I am at my house. I have been informed by Andrew that Emma and Sophia are at your house. I would like to come pick them up now." Diane said, "Rachel, I don't think that's a good idea. Kevin has legal custody pending the hearing." I said, "Diane, Kevin has filed a petition. He has not been granted anything. Legally, I have equal custody rights as the mother named on their birth certificates. I will be at your house in 20 minutes. If Emma and Sophia are not on the front porch when I arrive, I will be calling the Virginia Beach Police Department to conduct a welfare check and to enforce my parental rights." Diane was silent for approximately 4 seconds. She said, "Rachel, I'll have them ready." Emma and Sophia were, at 3:47 p.m. on Sunday, February 23rd, standing on Diane Bennett's front porch in Virginia Beach, with 2 small backpacks and a single suitcase between them. Sophia was holding her pink sneakers in her hand. She had put on a different pair of shoes I did not recognize. Emma was holding her stuffed rabbit. They saw me. They both, at the exact same moment, began to run. Sophia reached me first, as she always had, by 11 minutes. She said, "Mama." Emma said, "Mama, you came home." I said, "Emma, Sophia, Mama is home, and Mama is not going anywhere." I put them in the back seat of my mother's rental car. I did not, per my later Navy JAG guidance, speak with Diane Bennett after I secured the twins. I drove home to Windward Court. I called Margaret Wu on the way. I said, "Margaret, I have the twins. Kevin has filed. Hearing is in 17 days. Margaret Wu said, "Commander Bennett, send me the family care plan tonight. We will have this case ended by 11 a.m. on hearing day." The courtroom. I want to walk you through the morning of Wednesday, March 12th, because it is the morning Kevin Bennett's custody case ended. Family Courtroom 3B of the Virginia Beach Family Court is located on the 3rd floor of the Virginia Beach Courts Complex on Princess Anne Road. The courtroom is small, 20 rows of benches, a plaintiff's table on the left, a defendant's table on the right, the judge's bench in the front center, and a small children's waiting area behind the plaintiff's bench, separated by a glass partition. Emma and Sophia arrived at 9:47 a.m. with my mother. They were wearing matching navy blue dresses that my mother had bought them the previous Saturday. They were, per my specific instruction, told that they were coming to Mama's important work meeting, and that they would sit with Grandma in the special children's room during the meeting. I arrived at 9:52 a.m., in Navy service dress uniform. My rank insignia, the specific gold oak leaf of a lieutenant commander, was visible on my shoulder boards. I was wearing my Navy Commendation Medal, my Navy Achievement Medal, 3 awards, my Sea Service ribbons, my deployment ribbons, and the specific ribbon for the classified operational contribution I had made during my most recent deployment. Kevin arrived at 10:03 a.m. He was wearing the specific Navy suit he wore to parent-teacher conferences at his middle school. Douglas Wickham arrived with him. Judge Elizabeth Chen entered at 10 a.m. sharp. Judge Chen is 51 years old. She is a former JAG officer. She served in the Navy for 8 years before entering private practice and then the bench. Her husband is a retired Navy Master Chief. Her son is currently a Naval Academy midshipman, 3rd year, majoring in mechanical engineering. She has, per Margaret Wu's specific pre-hearing briefing, the specific reputation in Virginia Beach Family Court for being the judge that service members hope they draw. I want to describe what happened in the first 11 minutes of the hearing, because it will explain what happened in minute 12. Douglas Wickham presented Kevin's petition first. He argued that I had, per his specific phrasing, willfully absented myself from the marital home and from my parental responsibilities for a period exceeding 9 months, during which I had engaged in what a reasonable court could construe as maternal abandonment of dependent minor children. He argued that Kevin had, during those 9 months, been the sole and sufficient parent, and that removing the twins from Kevin's primary care would cause them significant psychological and developmental disruption. He argued for approximately 14 minutes. He did not, at any point in his argument, mention the family care plan. Judge Chen listened without interrupting. When Douglas Wickham sat down, she said, "Ms. Wu, response?" Margaret Wu stood up. She said, in the specific level voice of an attorney who has, per her later description, been waiting 11 days for this specific moment. "Your Honor, before I present the defense, I would like to submit into evidence 3 documents. Document 1, the family care plan, signed by both parties on May 3rd of last year. Document 2, Commander Bennett's deployment orders, signed by the Chief of Naval Operations on April 14th of last year. Document 3, the sworn statement of Lieutenant Susan Marsh, Navy JAG, who witnessed and notarized the family care plan. May I approach?" Judge Chen said, "Miss Wu, please approach." Margaret Wu placed a manila folder on Judge Chen's bench. Judge Chen opened it. She read the top document silently for approximately 14 seconds. Then she looked up. She said, "Mr. Bennett, I want to make sure I understand your petition correctly. You have filed for sole legal and physical custody of your twin daughters, Emma and Sophia, on the grounds of, quote, maternal abandonment for military service. Is that correct?" Kevin said, "Yes, Your Honor." Judge Chen picked up the first document from the manila folder. She said, "Mr. Bennett, I am now going to read your wife's deployment orders into the court record, and then I am going to read the family care plan you signed on May 3rd of last year. Do you know what a family care plan is, Mr. Bennett?" Kevin said, Your Honor, yes." Judge Chen said, "Good. Then you will understand why the next 14 minutes are going to be difficult." She read. She read my deployment orders in full. She read the specific language. Reports to USS George H.W. Bush no later than June 1st for operational duties. As Operations Department Head, this assignment is not optional. This assignment is not optional and constitutes a mandatory operational tour per the Officer Detailing Manual. She read the family care plan in full. She read the specific language Kevin had signed. I, Kevin Michael Bennett, acknowledge my role as the primary caregiver. She read the notarization by Lieutenant Marsh. She looked up. She said, "Mr. Bennett, your wife did not, per this document, choose to leave. She was ordered to leave. Per federal law and per the Officer Detailing Manual, refusing this assignment would have constituted a violation of the Uniform Code of Military Justice. Do you understand that, Mr. Bennett?" Kevin said, "Your Honor, Judge Chen said, "Mr. Bennett, second, you signed the family care plan. That signature is dated May 3rd of last year. It is notarized. It is on file with your wife's command. You legally accepted, in writing, the role of primary caregiver for Emma and Sophia during your wife's deployment. This is not a gray area. This is a signed federal document. Do you understand that, Mr. Bennett?" Kevin said, "Your Honor, my attorney did not." Judge Chen said, "Mr. Bennett, your attorney did not tell me what he told you. I don't know what he told you. What I know is that you filed a petition arguing that your wife abandoned your children for the Navy, while holding in a drawer somewhere in your house a document you signed in which you legally accepted responsibility for the children during her deployment. That is not maternal abandonment, Mr. Bennett. That is the specific legal arrangement the United States military requires when service members deploy. And what you have done, by filing this petition, is attempt to use your wife's federally mandated compliance with her military duty against her, in a civil family court, in front of a judge who understands exactly what the family care plan is." She paused. She said, "Mr. Wickham, approach the bench, please." Douglas Wickham approached. Judge Chen said, quietly enough that the courtroom could not hear, but the court reporter could, "Mr. Wickham, did you know this family care plan existed?" Douglas Wickham said, "Your Honor, I did not." Judge Chen said, "Mr. Wickham, do you know what the standard due diligence is for a family attorney representing the civilian spouse of a service member?" Douglas Wickham said, "Your Honor, I do." Judge Chen said, "Mr. Wickham, do you understand that I am, at the end of this hearing, going to be filing a formal complaint against you with the Virginia State Bar for failure to conduct due diligence in a case involving federal military documentation?" Douglas Wickham said, "Your Honor, yes." Judge Chen said, "Mr. Wickham, return to your table." Douglas Wickham returned to his table. Judge Chen looked at me. She said, "Lieutenant Commander Bennett, please stand." I stood. She said, "Lieutenant Commander, you have served the United States Navy for 12 years. Your record indicates you have been recommended for promotion to commander. Your most recent evaluations describe you as, quote, an officer of exceptional operational judgment. Your deployment on the USS George H.W. Bush contributed to a specific classified operational outcome that this court is not cleared to review, but which the Department of Defense has, per the enclosed commendation, described as, quote, substantially advancing the operational objectives of the Sixth Fleet. Is any of this in dispute, Lieutenant Commander?" I said, "Your Honor, it is not." She said, "Lieutenant Commander, the court finds that the petition filed by your husband on February 20th is without legal merit. The petition is denied. The court further finds that the marital circumstances underlying this petition warrant an immediate finding of primary physical custody in your favor, pending any divorce proceedings you may choose to file. The court further orders your husband to pay all attorney's fees incurred by both his defense and your prosecution of this hearing, in the amount of approximately $11,700 pending final accounting. Do you have any questions, Lieutenant Commander? I said, Your Honor, no ma'am. Judge Chen said, Lieutenant Commander, one thing before I close this hearing. Would you like to invite your daughters into the courtroom? I said, Your Honor? Yes, ma'am. The bailiff opened the door to the children's waiting area. Emma and Sophia ran across the courtroom, in matching navy blue dresses, past Kevin's table, past Douglas Wickham, past the empty jury box, to me. They wrapped their arms around my legs. Judge Elizabeth Chen, 51 years old, former JAG officer, mother of a Naval Academy midshipman, was, per what I could see from the defendant's table, wiping her right eye. After, I want to tell you what happened over the next 4 months, because it matters. Kevin was ordered to pay $11,742 in attorney's fees within 60 days of the hearing. He did not, per his own attorney's later withdrawal from the case, make the payment. His wages at the middle school were garnished by court order in June. He is, at the time I am telling you this story, approximately halfway through repaying the fees. I filed for divorce on Thursday, March 13th, the morning after the custody hearing. The divorce was contested for approximately 3 weeks. Kevin then, per what Margaret Wu explained to me during a coffee meeting in April, understood that his negotiating position was 0 and stopped contesting. The divorce was finalized on June 24th. I received sole legal and physical custody of Emma and Sophia. Kevin received supervised visitation contingent on completion of a family counseling program. He completed the counseling program in September. He has, per the supervised visitation schedule, seen the twins for 4 hours every other Sunday for the last 5 months. Douglas Wickham was, per the Virginia State Bar's disciplinary action filed in April, formally reprimanded for failure to exercise reasonable due diligence in his representation of Kevin. He was ordered to complete 20 hours of continuing legal education, specifically related to federal military law. He remains in practice. Diane Bennett, Kevin's mother, has not, per what my mother-in-law would later tell my mother, through a mutual acquaintance, spoken to Kevin since the hearing. She was, per my mother's specific summary, furious with him for what he did with the family care plan documents in her house, and furious with him for making her lie to me on the phone. Diane Bennett has requested, twice, to see the twins. I have, twice, declined. My mother has been staying with me and the twins in Virginia Beach for the last 5 months. She sold her house in Kansas City in July. She bought a small condo 3 miles from my house in September. She takes Emma and Sophia to preschool 3 mornings a week. She has, per her own specific instructions to me at Sunday dinner in October, not been happier since 2016. I have not, in the last 5 months, been at sea. My Navy assignment, per the specific request I filed after the custody hearing, has been extended at Naval Station Norfolk for the remainder of my current tour. I am currently working in a shore duty billet at Fleet Forces Command Headquarters. My next assignment, which begins in approximately 14 months, will be to the Naval War College in Newport, Rhode Island, as a student for a 1-year graduate program. Emma and Sophia will attend elementary school in Rhode Island during that year. I have not remarried. I am not planning to remarry in the immediate future. If I do remarry, it will be to a man who understands what a family care plan is. If I never remarry, I will be fine. Judge Elizabeth Chen retired from the family court bench in July. She was appointed to the Virginia Court of Appeals in August. She sent me, in September, a small handwritten card. It said, Commander Bennett. It was, per the specific pleasure of a woman with a Naval Academy son, my honor to hand your daughters back to you in March. Please tell Emma and Sophia their mother is one of the finest officers I have ever had in my courtroom. Continue serving, Elizabeth Chen. The card is currently framed on the wall of my office at Fleet Forces Command Headquarters. Below the card, in a smaller frame, is a photograph. The photograph is of Emma and Sophia, in matching navy blue dresses, standing in front of Family Courtroom 3B at approximately 11:47 a.m. on Wednesday, March 12th. Sophia is holding my hand. Emma is holding my Navy Commendation Medal ribbon that I had, per Emma's specific fascination with it during the drive home, unpinned from my uniform and handed to her. The twins do not, at 4 years old, remember the specific words Kevin's attorney said in the courtroom that morning. They do remember, per what Sophia told my mother the following Sunday, that the lady judge told Mama she is a good officer, and then the lady judge cried. They remember that. I hope they remember it for the rest of their lives. Because when Emma and Sophia are eventually old enough to understand what a family care plan is, and old enough to understand what a deployment order is, and old enough to understand what a courtroom is, I want them to remember that a woman named Judge Elizabeth Chen, in a courtroom in Virginia Beach, in front of the specific father who had tried to take them from their mother, opened a manila folder and read the specific document that stopped him. That is what a court is supposed to do. That is what my court did. If you have ever been the mother, or the father, who was told that the work you did in the service of your country was somehow the specific reason you had failed your children, I want you to leave one word in the comments below. Just one word, the name of the child, or the name of the person who defended you, or the name of the court that read the document that ended the accusation. Say the word, because someone in this comment section is going to see your word, and they are going to remember that the documents you sign in the presence of a Navy JAG officer are the specific documents that come back for you when you need them most. And if this story reminded you that the country you served sometimes still remembers your signature, subscribe. Because next day, I am telling you about a bride at my brother's wedding who tried to have me removed from the ceremony because I was in uniform. The Marine Corps general officiated the wedding. I'll see you there.